start again. It's a rich thing.
What's going on, everybody? It's the Bull Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got an episode of Chicago Bulls Weekly to provide for you guys as we discuss the previous week for the Chicago Bulls and the disappointment behind most of our previous week with the Chicago Bulls, and then obviously discuss the upcoming week for the Chicago Bulls as the trade deadline continues to draw near. There is a lot to get through in this video, but before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bull Show. Turn notifications on and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls overall previous week and upcoming week to look forward to. And of course, are there any deals that are going to be put over the line by this Bulls team? So, with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, we've had 4 games to look forward to this week, and we ended up going 2-2. Obviously, the 2 weeks before that, we were in Paris. We thought that Paris trip was going to change everything for the Chicago Bulls team, get us closer together, build some chemistry and everything in between. Unfortunately, that just was not meant to be, and the Bulls essentially just went on a neutral week. And to be honest, a neutral week like this felt like a huge blow for this Bulls team. It feels like a negative week in total, but we actually started off this week with a victory against the Atlanta Hawks. We won this game 111-100. And I'm kind of surprised that this was this week. It felt so long ago, that Atlanta Hawks game. It's incredible how things can change over the course of time when you're on a downward spiral like the Bulls were before, obviously, the Magic game. And I thought the Bulls played okay in this game, at least. I don't think our offense was incredible, but our defense was swarming. Everybody was engaged. We were active. We were alive, and it felt just like a joyous occasion to watch that game against Atlanta. And the defensive pressure that we put on that game was truly incredible, and it was one of our better defensive performances of the season, in my humble opinion. Atlanta are one of the top offensive teams in the NBA, and we kept them to 100 points. That speaks volumes to how good our defensive pressure was. And when you thought, look, 3-game win streak, the consistency can build on, we can finally get out of that 500 slump, below 500 slump, and just build our way towards the end of the season, we end up blowing a 21-point lead to the Indiana Pacers, and we lose this game 116-110. Amazing first half, extremely disastrous second half, and this is when the Bulls, I guess, mental lapses begin to really be notified, where people are finally starting to see that the Bulls crumble under pressure, and how Billy Donovan said that the Bulls do not bring what they need to bring when other teams bring the intensity up, and they pressure the Chicago Bulls with half-court presses and full-court presses and everything in between, and the Bulls can't handle it. And we lost that game in embarrassing fashion, ladies and gentlemen. One of the worst losses of the season for sure, and that was a game where if we had won it, I believe it would have been 500, or at least one game below 500, and we would have had the 9th seed. And now all of a sudden we've fallen a little bit from that situation, so a bit disappointing there. Then you thought, okay, a response is needed against the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets, that has one of the worst offensive and defensive ratings in the NBA. They also have the worst home record in the NBA, I believe, as well. They had a lot of injuries coming into this game also, but at the end of the day, that Charlotte Hornets team beat the Chicago Bulls, and they beat them by a 111-96 scoreline. And the Bulls offensively, really, they fell off a cliff in this game offensively. It was so bad how, I guess, poor defensively they were. Offensively, I should say they were. Defensively, look, they were fairly mediocre, to be honest, as well. But offensively, man, oh my goodness, that was a terrible game to watch. Again, another really bad game. 2 back-to-back horrific games for the Chicago Bulls, and it really hurt us. And Bulls fans, this was the point in which I believe that Charlotte Hornets game right there is that's the game, in my opinion, where I finally pulled the trigger in my mind, and I now believe the Bulls are not going to get anywhere this season. Our level is the play-in. That is a team that we are. We are not better than we think we are. We are just a play-in team, and that's how we've proven to be for all of this season, really. A team fighting for a play-in spot. I thought with the 6th seed, first season with the Chicago Bulls last year, you were bound to see improvements by this Bulls team. It's only their first year together, with more chemistry, more, I guess, of an identity of themselves. Surely they could be better than what they are, but instead they got figured out very quickly, and now we are fighting for a play-in spot, and we are a play-in team, and I truly believe that's our level at the moment, and I don't see that changing this season. Even with trades that we make, it's very hard for us to climb out of that hole right now. I think we need trades for the sake of trying to switch things up. Maybe you could build on something on to next season as well. Maybe bring in a shooter that you could also have for next season's team. Maybe you can, again, get a first round pick this season or something like that. Maybe draft somebody into this team, because the Portland pick, you just don't know if it's going to go to you, if it's going to go to them. So again, there's a lot we can do in this trade period that can not only help us this season, but maybe help us next season as well. And that was the point where I really believed, alright, this team is done. I can't see this team going any further than what it is right now. We're a play-in team. Sure, we can advance beyond the play-in. We can win the play-in tournament if we, I guess, show up to the games. But once we get to the playoffs, we're not going to do anything serious in that regard either. So that's how I feel about this Bulls team. And the win against Orlando, we won this game 128 to 109. It was a good result overall. Again, you always enjoy Bulls victories, but I don't think this changed much towards my mentality, because at the end of the day, the Bulls still, with that Orlando game, they allowed Orlando to come back, and it was at times a 10-point to a single-digit point game, and then you just, I guess, got a little bit worried. But yes, the Bulls responded. The Bulls managed the game, and we ended up winning in a fairly comfortable fashion, but that's not necessarily, the biggest deal for me. I want to see a consistent run of form for the Chicago Bulls, and until I see that, my mind will not be changed on where I think we're going to finish. So it's up to them. The next week, the next 2 weeks, heading into the All-Star break, beyond the All-Star break, consistency has to start. It can't be one-game responses. It can't be a week response. It has to be a month response, a consistent run of form every single game. I'm not asking the Bulls to win every single game, but at the end of the day, when there's opportunities to beat teams you need to beat, and you fail to do it every single time, how should the Bulls feel in that way? I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. I feel on autopilot. That's exactly how I feel, because I don't know if I should be looking optimistic at the fact that, okay, we still have a fairly easy schedule, according to the NBA at least. We could get something over the line. Or should I feel negative to the fact that we've wasted so many opportunities, you don't know when the next one's going to come for this team. So, I don't know. And the Bulls have to figure it out. And I don't know if they will. I don't think they can, in all honesty. Now we look into the awards. The Sixth Man of the Week, the Defensive Player of the Week, the Must Improve of the Week, and the Player of the Week in total. Starting off with the Must Improve of the Week. I mean, we've lost 2 pretty bad games, and I think in both of those situations, it's very, very difficult, because, again, it felt like a whole team issue, really. It felt like everybody kind of fell to the wayside a bit. Everybody disappointed for the Bulls. It felt like that way. It felt in that way, to be honest. If I had to pick one, this is a cop-out answer, because I don't necessarily think it's entirely his fault for the way that the Bulls have been playing, but I'm going to pick Ayo Dosunmu, because I just don't think he's being aggressive as he can be. And especially in the last 2 games I've been talking about and trying to get him to be a little bit more aggressive, it just wasn't meant to be. And therefore, I would give him the must improve. But I gotta say, in the same way, Ayo's the least of our problems, to be honest. Yes, he's not aggressive. Sometimes he's very much stagnant on offense, just takes his open threes and whatnot, and just that's the type of player that he can be for sure. And obviously we know he's dangerous when he's aggressive, but let's be honest, if we're being really, really honest with ourselves, do you think a second-year player on a team that should be winning at the moment is the biggest of our concerns? Is Ayo Dosunmu really the biggest problem at the Chicago Bulls at the moment? And the answer, at least in my eyes, is absolutely not. Yes, he surely is the must improve. I don't really think there's anybody else that really comes close to him this week, but the Bulls mentally crumbling, the Bulls falling into lapses, the Bulls and I guess their inconsistent performances, that all can't be on Ayo. It's a whole team situation. So as much as Ayo probably is my must improve, he's definitely the least of our concerns at the moment. And the Bulls in general, the big 3, the entire team, the coach, all of that needs to be addressed, in my opinion, very, very quickly. And if you're going to keep the big 3, then get some more help for this big 3, because they don't have it. If you're going to trade this big 3, then do it very quickly. Try to get maybe one deal over the line. I'm not too sure. But try to retool this team. I don't know what their decision's going to be, but something has to happen. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, if they do anything. So we'll wait and see for that retrospect. The Sixth Man of the Week, I'm finally going to give it to Derrick Jones Jr. I think he's been battling for that spot basically for the last month now. And Kobe White's had some okay games, good scoring games. He's another guy I'd bring into this. Alex Caruso, another guy I'd bring to this as well. Alex Caruso should most definitely be considered for this award, but I'm going to give him another award. So I feel like Derrick Jones as well should just finally get his time a little bit. I guess the difference between it is that with Kobe White, there were a couple of bad scoring nights in there. I think defensively and energy-wise and work ethic-wise, he's been about the same, which is very, very good, very positive. But for Derrick Jones, he's been in and up and around that level for a long time now, and I feel like this is the week where he could get that praise and get what he needs to get. And to be honest, I must say this as well, and yes, it's because the Bulls are losing. Derrick Jones didn't have an amazing week, but at the end of the day, no one really did, and that's why I would consider him as the sixth man of the week for the Chicago Bulls. Alongside of Alex Caruso, I think these two are definitely the key candidates to give it to this week. The defensive player of the week will go to Alex Caruso. Again, he deserves his awards this week, but again, it's in a loss. Alex Caruso was very, very good defensively this week, but I feel like he was the only one that really picked up and actually performed for the Chicago Bulls this week in many ways off of that bench, or at least defensively off of that bench. I think sometimes our defense really was holding us back. Some people simply did not put enough energy into that defensive end. But again, mainly our offense is what really hurt us this week. But 21-point deficit taken away. Whatever, man. Anyway, Alex Caruso's defensive player of the week. My player of the week in general is going to be Nikola Vucevic, in my humble opinion. I think DeMar is a very good candidate for this. I think Zach LaVine should stay nowhere near this award this week. Yes, he's had a good game against the Magic. I'm fairly certain he played okay against the Hawks as well. But man, that Indiana Pacers game was shocking, and there's no way I'm going to give it to him. Even if he had 3 50-point games this week and he had that Indiana Pacers game, there's still no way I'd give it to him. I just think his performance against the Pacers was that bad. It was horrific in this week. I couldn't bring myself to give it to Zach LaVine. So it'd either be DeMar or Vooch, and I think Vooch is going to get it for me personally. Moving into the next week for the Chicago Bulls, we have 3 games to look forward to, with the first one coming at home. We return to the United Center and we verse the Los Angeles Clippers. Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous team, ladies and gentlemen. One we can most definitely not take lightly for sure. I think when it comes to the Los Angeles Clippers, they're obviously a team right now that should be in the competition of competing. They obviously have a couple of their guys returning as well. I just think that's a very tough game for the Bulls, and knowing our history against Western Conference teams, I know for a fact this is not going to be an easy game for the Chicago Bulls. But lo and behold, the games that we classify as not easy are the games that we actually show up for. So don't be surprised if the Bulls actually show up, play some amazing defense, and walk away with wins. Don't be surprised if the Clippers get surprised by the Chicago Bulls. I think for the Clippers, they will feel very confident coming into this game, and they should feel very confident coming into this game. But also know, in one way, form, or fashion, this Bulls team will try to show up against the Clippers. And whether we win or we lose that game, it's definitely a game to be taken very, very seriously. The next game is going to be against the Charlotte Hornets. We get our rematch with them very, very soon. Again, look, we just recently lost to them. They have the formula now to beat the Chicago Bulls, but this game's coming at a time where recency bias will kick in. The Bulls will very much remember that last game against the Hornets. They will not forget it that quickly, and they will have the extra motivation to win this game, especially at home. So, as bad as I'm going to sound by saying this, I expect the Bulls to win this game. I think we're the favorites to win this game. And if we lose this game, it'll be very disappointing, but we've heard that song and dance before. The next game will be against the Portland Trailblazers at home as well. Damian Lillard, Jeremy Grant, a lot of people know those players. A lot of people wanted Jeremy Grant on this team. Portland right now are up and down, very similar to the Chicago Bulls. I think even today they lost the game to the Toronto Raptors, if I'm not mistaken, or at least it was a very, very close game. So, all things considered, that's definitely a game in which I really don't know how that's going to go either. But if Dame shows up, Jeremy Grant shows up, and they play with a lot of hustle and energy, that's also a tough game for the Bulls, knowing our West Coast record at the moment. And that's really it for the Chicago Bulls in terms of Bulls Weekly. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.